Here's a professionally structured YouTube automation script designed for a faceless war news channel with strong retention, emotional storytelling, and simple English for a global audience. US-Iran war paused. Trump's surprise decision shocks the world. **, Middle East on edge. Israel strikes Lebanon as US delays Iran attack. *#thumbnail text ideas. *war paused. Trump backs down. Middle East exploding. Is this the beginning? Israel versus Iran escalates. The Middle East is once again standing on the edge of a massive war. Oil prices are crashing. Israeli airstrikes are expanding across Lebanon and Gaza. And now, former US President Donald Trump has suddenly paused a planned military strike on Iran. But why? Is this a real step toward peace, or just the calm before a much bigger storm? In today's video, we break down the latest Iran, Israel, and US war updates, the growing tensions across the region, and why the entire world is watching very closely right now. The situation in the Middle East has become more dangerous than ever. Over the last few days, the region has seen military strikes, political chaos, humanitarian disasters, and growing fears of a wider war involving Iran, Israel, the United States, and several neighboring countries. But one of the biggest developments came when Donald Trump announced that a planned military strike on Iran had been paused. According to reports, Trump decided to delay the attack in order to allow more negotiations and diplomatic talks, and almost immediately after this announcement, global oil prices dropped sharply. Brent crude oil prices fell by around 1.5%, while US crude prices also moved downward. This tells us something very important. The world believes that if the US directly attacks Iran, the entire Middle East could explode into a larger regional war, and that would affect everyone. Oil prices, global trade, food prices, travel, and even the world economy, because the Middle East controls some of the most important oil routes on Earth. Now, while diplomatic talks continue behind closed doors, violence on the ground is still getting worse. In southern Lebanon, Israeli drone strikes targeted vehicles and towns in the Nabatea district. At least 2 people were wounded in one attack in the town of Haruf. According to local reports, one of the injured people was a municipal worker, while another person was preparing to distribute bread to local residents before the strike happened. Imagine that for a moment. A man preparing food for his community, and suddenly a missile strikes nearby. This is the reality many civilians are facing every single day. Meanwhile, Israel has continued launching air raids across several Lebanese towns including Al-Shahabiyah, Majd al-Salam, Kfar Sur, and other areas. Reports also mention artillery shelling in southern Lebanon and explosions heard near Haifa after Israeli defense systems intercepted what they called suspected aerial target. The conflict is no longer limited to one area. It is spreading, and many families across southern Lebanon are now displaced. Thousands of people have been forced to leave their homes because of constant air attacks. Many are now living in temporary shelters, schools, or overcrowded areas in cities like Tyre. Some residents believe these attacks are part of a strategy to make southern Lebanon unlivable. Whether that is true or not, one thing is clear: ordinary civilians are paying the highest price. At the same time, tensions inside Jerusalem have also increased dramatically. During Jerusalem Day celebrations, thousands of ultranationalist Israelis marched through the Old City while chanting anti-Arab slogans. Videos circulated online showing attacks on Palestinian shops and residents. Far-right Israeli Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir also visited the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound and raised the Israeli flag there, a move that created outrage across the Muslim world. For many Palestinians, these actions were seen as highly provocative, and this week became one of the most violent periods in recent months. A 16-year-old Palestinian was reportedly killed, while several families were displaced from their homes. But perhaps the most heartbreaking situation remains inside Gaza. Even though there are talks about a ceasefire, destruction continues across the territory. Israel recently carried out strikes that reportedly killed the head of Hamas's armed wing. But according to reports, the strike also killed members of his family and several civilians. And the humanitarian crisis inside Gaza keeps getting worse. Millions of people remain displaced. Basic services are collapsing. Hospitals are struggling. Food shortages continue. And according to reconstruction estimates, around 85% of buildings and roads in Gaza are either damaged or completely destroyed. Think about that number. 85%. Entire neighborhoods have been reduced to rubble. Schools, hospitals, roads, gone. Experts now estimate it could cost more than $30 billion just to rebuild Gaza. And even if the fighting stopped today, rebuilding could take many years. Meanwhile, another dramatic story is unfolding in the Mediterranean Sea. Israeli forces intercepted several vessels from the Gaza-bound Global Sumud flotilla. These ships were carrying activists trying to break the blockade on Gaza and bring international attention to the humanitarian crisis. According to reports, Israeli forces boarded multiple ships in international waters and detained activists on board. This sparked strong international criticism. Countries including Turkey, Pakistan, Spain, Brazil, Indonesia, Bangladesh, Jordan, and others released statements condemning the interceptions. Some leaders described the operation as a violation of international law and freedom of navigation. And many people are now asking, where are the detained activists? Their exact whereabouts remain unclear. This incident has once again increased diplomatic pressure on Israel internationally. But inside Israel itself, political tensions are also growing. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu recently appeared again in court over corruption charges. This was reportedly his 88th court appearance in the long-running trial. Netanyahu continues to deny all accusations, calling the case politically motivated. At the same time, international criticism against him has increased because of the ongoing war in Gaza. So now Israel is facing pressure from multiple sides: military pressure, international pressure, political pressure, and internal divisions. And while all this is happening, the United States is trying to prevent a direct war with Iran. Because if Iran becomes directly involved in a larger conflict, the consequences could be massive. Iran has strong regional allies. There are already armed groups operating across Lebanon, Iraq, Syria, and Yemen, and any direct confrontation between the US and Iran could quickly spread beyond control. This is why Trump's decision to pause military action became such a huge global story. Some people see it as a smart move to avoid disaster. Others believe it is only temporary, and that military action could still happen later. Right now, the entire world is watching very carefully. One wrong decision, one missile, one attack, could change the future of the Middle East overnight. And sadly, as always, innocent civilians remain trapped in the middle of it all. Families are losing homes, children are growing up under drones and explosions, and millions of people across the region are living in fear of what tomorrow might bring. So what do you think? Will diplomacy stop a larger war? Or are we only witnessing the beginning of something much bigger? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want real-time war updates, global conflict analysis, and deep geopolitical coverage explained in simple English, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. The world is changing fast, and we'll keep you updated every step of the way. Thanks for watching.